The Man in the Window. It started on a cold Wednesday evening. Melanie had just moved into her new apartment, a small but cozy unit on the fifth floor of an older building. The rent was cheap and the neighborhood quiet, but the apartment came with an odd view. A neighboring building, abandoned and half dilapidated, stood directly across from her living room window. Melanie thought nothing of it at first. She enjoyed her tea on the couch, scrolling through her phone, glancing occasionally at the dark windows of the building across the way. The place seemed utterly lifeless, empty rooms and cracked glass. It was a little eerie but harmless, until she saw him. That night, as Melanie turned off her lights to go to bed, she noticed something in one of the windows across the street. A figure stood there, a tall man, shrouded in shadow. He wasn't moving, just standing, watching. The window he occupied was directly aligned with her living room. Melanie froze. Her mind raced to find a rational explanation. Maybe it's just a shadow or a trick of the light. But then she noticed something stranger. His outline seemed unnaturally still, almost deliberate. Her gut twisted, but she convinced herself to look away. After all, what harm could a shadow do? By morning, the figure was gone. Days passed and Melanie began to forget about the strange sight, until the following Wednesday. Late that evening, she returned to the couch with her tea, glanced out the window, and there he was again. The man, same window, same stance, staring. This time, Melanie grabbed her phone and zoomed in with her camera, trying to get a better look. But her screen only showed a dark, human-like silhouette. No details. It must be a mannequin, she thought. Or maybe someone is squatting there. She resolved to ignore it, but ignoring him became impossible. Every Wednesday night, at the exact same time, the man appeared in the window. Melanie began dreading those evenings. She closed the blinds, but no matter how tightly she pulled them shut, she felt his presence, like she knew he was there, staring. One night, she couldn't take it anymore. She called the building manager, who confirmed the neighboring structure was locked up. No one had been inside in years. That assurance only made things worse. If no one is there, then who or what is he? One particularly cold Wednesday, Melanie decided to confront her fear. Armed with a flashlight and pepper spray, she made her way across the street to the abandoned building. Its door was padlocked, but when she touched it, the rusted lock gave way with a creak. Inside, the building was cold and lifeless, filled with shadows that seemed to breathe with her. Dust clung to her throat as she climbed the stairs to the window where the man stood. Her flashlight shook in her hands as she finally reached the room. It was empty. No furniture, no footprints, no man. But the window. The window faced her apartment perfectly. And on the grimy glass, she saw something that made her blood freeze. A set of handprints, large and smeared, as though someone had been leaning against it, watching her. Heart pounding, she spun around to leave, but a soft sound stopped her. Footsteps, slow, deliberate. She turned her flashlight back toward the stairwell, but the light flickered and went out. In the pitch darkness, she heard it, breathing, slow and ragged, growing closer. Melanie stumbled and ran, feeling the air grow colder with each step. She burst out of the building and back into the safety of her apartment, slamming the door behind her. That night, she didn't sleep. She kept her blinds shut and every light in her apartment on. But when she finally gathered the courage to peek out the window, her blood ran cold. The man wasn't in his window anymore. He was standing in hers.